Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. The European Union has formally approved a 90 billion euro loan for Ukraine, a major package aimed at covering urgent defense and budget needs in 2026 and 2027 after months of political deadlock inside the bloc. The loan will be financed through EU market borrowing and tied to the rule of law and anti-corruption conditions. Joining us today on TVP World to unpack what this means is Marek Dąbrowski, non-resident fellow from Bruegel. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
So can you help us understand how this 90 billion euro package fit into Ukraine's overall financial needs over the next 2 years?
Well, this is critically important because Ukrainian budget is short of revenue because of the war and because of very high expenditure caused by war. And this is not secret that practically from the very beginning of the Russian aggression, Ukraine heavily depends not only on military, humanitarian assistance, but also on financial, budgetary assistance. Beginning 2002, 2003, 2004, a significant role was played by US, but unfortunately, under the second Trump administration, this financial aid of US disappeared. So basically, Europe is the main contributor. And this was exactly last minute when this loan could be approved, because really Ukraine very badly needs this money.
All right. It has been described that Ukraine is running out of funds, and we can tell also by President Volodymyr Zelensky's statement that he is very thankful for the money's approval. We actually do have the statement. Let's take a look.
We have a strong and fundamental decision, and it's a decision of all the leaders, of the unanimity of EU. We are very thankful. The great progress today, 90 billion support package and sanctions package, which is also a great signal. And we will work to make sure the funds are delivered as soon as possible. For us, it's important, and this will strengthen, of course, to swell our army, Ukrainian forces, and allow us to boost production by air defense and work more to protect our energy system for the winter.
Now, this loan is being described as an interest-free loan and backed by the EU budget, and on the condition of, well, if Russia repays the money or pays reparation, then this loan will be given back. But what are the actual financial risks being transferred to EU taxpayer if this does not indeed happen?
I am afraid that looking for the current geopolitical conditions, Russia will not contribute in form of reparation or any other form. So basically, it finally will have to be paid either by Ukraine or by European taxpayers. Perhaps this will change. I hope it may change, but for the moment, this is a reality. So this was put on the shoulders of European taxpayer, but I think that it should be like this, because this is in geopolitical interest of Europe to protect Ukraine and strengthen its defense capacities and its stability of the public finances as much as it can.
Right, and
this is critically important.
You mentioned earlier that it also has to do with the U.S. significantly pulling the funding away from supporting Ukraine. Now, compared to the U.S. support, does this signal a structural shift towards Europe carrying more of Ukraine's financial burden? And do you think that is sustainable?
What do you mean by sustainable? The current decision was taken. I hope that it covers needs of this and next budget year, 2016-2007. There is a draft of the next midterm financial framework of the EU, which also contains budget allocation, so-called Ukraine reserve, to support Ukraine during the period of 2028-2034, with quite flexible purpose. So it can be either for further support of the war effort of Ukraine, if really needed, if war doesn't stop, or for a reconstruction process. But in my opinion, this 100 billion euro allocation, or a bit less in 2025 fixed prices, is not sufficient to cover needs of Ukraine. So I think that further debate will be needed. But for the moment, we have a while to do so. So the most critical situation was solved just by today's decision.
Right. Speaking of the most critical situation, do you think that this funding will be able to change Ukraine's short-term battlefield capacity? Some of the shortages we're already seeing on the front, would that be relieved at least temporarily?
I am sorry. I'm afraid that I cannot answer your question. I am not a military or security expert. I am, as far as I understand, devil is in details. I cannot say what are exact defense supply needs, what is available on the market. Still, as far as I understand, even if this is funded by EU, Ukraine will still depends very much on US deliveries, especially in areas such as air defense. I cannot say here.
Right. Of course, there is a lot of interaction between how the U.S. delivers its weapon and how Ukraine is going to utilize these funds. So, yeah, like you mentioned, there is going to be some complications there. Do you see any bottlenecks going forward that could prevent this money from translating to real impact on the ground in Ukraine?
Again, I cannot assess military, I would say, defense military management, looking from outside as for, I would say, amateur, like me, amateur. It looks that is so far very efficient, but sorry, I cannot assess details. Looking from the economic or macroeconomic point of view, this money absolutely needed to finance budget expenditures, also for defense, but for all other things like security, social, repairing infrastructure, education, health, etc. And also for keeping, for example, Ukrainian currency, hryvnia, stable. So there are very important money, and I am absolutely sure that they will contribute to economic and political stabilization of situation of Ukraine, and also I hope that they will help strengthen defense capacity. But defense capacity depends on many other conditions which I am not positioned to assess.
Right. Now, along with the announcement of the 90 billion euro loan, there's also the 20th package of sanctions. Do you think that this package is going to be able to limit some of Russia's war capacity in any real terms? Because this is the 20th package, which of course was preceded by 19 others. Do you think that this one will be significantly impactful?
I doubt, frankly speaking. I am quite skeptical about sanction so far. In my opinion, very often they serve as some kind of political excuse that we are doing something for Ukraine, but really only very small part of the sanction really complicated Russian war effort and limited war capacity. The key, at least from financial, fiscal point of view for Russia, is budget situation. And this budget situation depends very much on the oil prices. No, even not natural gas or oil products or fertilizer, but exactly on crude oil, which Russia is a significant exporter. And unfortunately here, the sanctions which were launched so far, they were supported only by countries representing about half of the world economy. Several countries, including the largest emerging market economy, didn't join this sanction coalition. So there were many loopholes on this system. And despite all the effort to tighten the sanction, to fight the shadow fleet, etc., Russia was able to sell oil with some discount. But now the situation which happened after the beginning of the Israeli-US war against Iran changed radically situation. Oil prices jumped from 60 to over 100, now are below 100, but probably they will not return to 60 or 50 soon. And negative difference for Russia caused by sanction disappeared completely. There were even several days in the last 2 months when price for Russian oil was higher than for Brent because of the availability of this oil and practically relaxing sanctions. And this, I am afraid that the 20th package of sanction cannot neutralize this effect. This effect, so far, the fiscal data which is available, Russian fiscal data, shows that in March, when still oil prices were in process of increasing, federal budget revenue increased by 1% of GDP, of monthly GDP. It's not very much, but there are some time lag, so I expect that this positive difference will be much larger in April, and we'll see what will be the next month.
All right, of course, we'll have to see.
Unfortunately,
all right, thank you so much for your input and insight.
Major issue now.
I appreciate it. Thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you very much. My
And
pleasure.
thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.